With 1 week left of the transfer window, Arsenal are very busy. As Kieran Tierney's future comes to a conclusion, today we'll discuss potential defensive arrivals. We'll also get a massive update on the future of Folarin Balogun, find out which forwards Arsenal could be signing, discuss the surprise return of Gabriel Jesus, and find out how Mikel Arteta will line up against Fulham. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel, and I hope you guys are doing sensational. Arsenal have a massive game this Saturday and things are getting interesting. So as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 200,000 subscribers. But starting off with Arsenal's defensive moves. In the final week of the transfer window, Arsenal are making moves. The priority is the player sales. As Kaya Kayanak confirms, Arsenal are working on at least 7 exits before the end of the window. The club wants permanent deals and will try to find an obligation to buy if deals have to be agreed on an initial loan. There are lots of players that are about to leave Arsenal, as sources confirm that Albert Samuel Lokonga, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, Folarin Balogun and Nuno Tavares are all training away from the first team. Arsenal have a very clear mission: sell as many players as possible, recoup the highest amount of fee, then look to reinvest in one massive last signing. That's where you have the future of Kieran Tierney. According to David Ornstein, Real Sociedad are close to reaching an agreement with Arsenal for the signing of Kieran Tierney on a season-long loan. The deal does not include an option or obligation to buy, but Sociedad are paying a loan fee and covering Tierney's salary in full. This news here is definitely surprising. Kieran Tierney is a valuable player in the current transfer market. At Arsenal, his profile might not be ideal, but in the market of attack-minded fullbacks, Kieran Tierney is up there with the very best. Sociedad are a team playing in the Champions League. They have the attraction there and there. There's also a little bit of history here. Go back all the way to 2013. Arsenal signed their own left back from Sociedad. We are of course talking Nacho Monreal. My concern here is about the structure. Even if the loan fee is massive, it's taken a year of Kieran Tierney's contract, making him less valuable next season. Interest from Aston Villa and Newcastle never materialised. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed now. Kieran Tierney to Real Sociedad, here we go. Verbal agreement in place with Arsenal on a loan deal. No buy option clause. Tierney has accepted, medical being scheduled after clubs exchange all documents. We've also got more confirmed news. Arsenal's young fullback Brooke Norton-Cuffy has signed on a season-long loan to Millwall. 19 years of age after a decent spell on loan at Coventry. 28 starts last year, helping them get to the playoffs final. This may be Norton-Cuffy's most important loan spell. An attack-minded right-back who loves to get forwards. Soon turning 20, this has to be the year where Norton-Cuffy takes his game to a new level. Arsenal have a few different profiles in Ben White and Urian Timber. There is though room for a more attack-minded player. Norton-Cuffy has the potential. Last year he was averaging 1.4 dribbles per game, as well as winning 3.6 ground duels per game. Having seen him play live in the playoffs final, I still see a player that's a bit raw. But what about the future of Gabriel Magalhaes? Having not started for Arsenal in 2 consecutive games, doubts are building over his long-term future. According to Simon Jones, Real Madrid have genuine interest in Gabriel Magalhaes, but the centre-back is happy at Arsenal. There is interest from Saudi Arabia too, but the 25-year-old Brazil international is committed to Arsenal as they look to go one step further in the league this season. In a market where there's very few top left-footed centre-backs, Gabriel is one of those very few. As Fabrizio Romano confirms, Arsenal have no intention to sell Gabriel Magalhaes. They consider him a very important player. My sources yesterday, when I was asking, they told me that not even 200 million euros will convince Arsenal to let Gabriel Magalhaes go. So at the moment Gabriel is staying at Arsenal. This is very strong and clear. Arsenal understand the value of Gabriel. There's a reason why they signed him to a brand new contract only less than a year ago. For the first time in a very long time, he's also been recalled to the Brazil squad. The reason why he's not been starting for Arsenal in the past few games, for me, it's all tactical. Mikel Arteta loves to build with a back three, where the left side centre back becomes a central centre back, who needs to be ultra secure on the ball, a role perfectly suited to William Saliba, allowing for Thomas Partey to play as the inverted right back. The return of Zinchenko will change the game. Arsenal will be able to invert on the left hand side, allowing for Gabriel Magalhaes to re-enter the team. You've also got news regarding a former Arsenal centre-back. We are talking Konstantinos Mavropanos, who has joined West Ham United in a deal worth in the region of £20 million. Arsenal are set to receive 10% of the deal, around £2 million, due to a sudden clause in the contract. He only left Arsenal last summer for a fee of £3.7 million, a sign of how far the players come. That's £2 million that Arsenal have to reinvest in the team. Let's talk about defensive incomings. According to reports in Italy, Arsenal are interested in signing Per Shores as a Timber replacement, who's likely to cost €40 million. 23 years of age, a Dutch under-21 international playing for Torino in Italy. He came through the Ajax academy and he's always been a decent player on the ball. Take for example his last year of being a starter at Ajax. You go back to 2020-21, 55 passes per game at a 92% accuracy, 3.3 long balls per game at a 64% success rate. Standing at 6'3" tall, this guy has the physicality. Last year he made 28 starts for Torino, and as you can see from his heat map, he's able to play across the back three. Right footed, able to play centrally and on the left hand side. These are all attributes that suit Mikel Arteta's style of football. Having only signed for Torino last summer for €9 million, a contract until 2026, Arsenal are definitely on the market for a defender. There's also been links to Bayern Munich's Benjamin Pavard, who's looking to move to the Premier League. Then you have the future of Albert Sambi Lokonga. According to Sky Sports News, Brighton are interested in signing Arsenal midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga, and they have switched their focus from Carlos Baleba to the Arsenal midfielder. This was very surprising. Despite links to Burnley all summer, so far a move has not developed, and Brighton have the ability to make a deal happen. Having just sold Moses Caicedo for £150 million, they have the space and the finances. Sambi's a player that's always had the potential, able to play as a number 6 but also further forward. It would almost be the perfect club for Sambi. There's nowhere near as much pressure as there is at Arsenal. Roberto De Zerbi is fantastic at developing midfielders, having once been compared to Yaya Toure by ex-manager Vincent Kompany. For Arsenal this is perfect. They know that Brighton have the money, they should be able to demand a decent fee. But talking about midfield and comings, according to reports in Brazil, Arsenal have sent representatives to Brazil to gather information on Gabriel Moscardo, a young midfielder from Corinthians. 17 years of age, this guy has a bagload of potential. Able to play as a number 6. Many people in Brazil see him as the future of the national team, and he's drawn comparisons to a certain Declan Rice, and I can totally see why. Moscardo is a very athletic player, standing at 6'1" tall. As shown by his heat map, he can play on the left hand side, defensively and going forwards. Most importantly, he's able to cover massive distances. Fantastic at winning his ground duels. His last performance at Corinthians sums him up as a player. 7.2 overall rating, 49 touches and 31 accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 big chance created, 3 successful dribbles and 5 ground duels won. Doing it as a teenager, having only made 7 senior appearances. Arsenal have a connection here. Director of football Edu Gaspar is not only a former Corinthians player, but has also been a former director of the club. But what is happening with the future of Nicolas Pepe? According to L'Equipe in France, Al Fatih and another unnamed Saudi club have positioned themselves to sign Nicolas Pepe in the last few hours, and are now working to convince him. The key here is not about convincing the player, but more about Arsenal. Having signed Pepe for £72 million, Arsenal are looking for a transfer fee. They have terminated way too many contracts and they understand clubs in Saudi Arabia have the money. The future of Mohamed Kudus is also getting interesting. In his latest game for Ajax, he was on fire, scoring a hat-trick for Ajax in a Europa League qualifier. 3 games and 5 goal contributions. Kudus has made a fantastic start to the season. He wants to move to the Premier League, and after the game he has spoken, confirming that yes, I think this was my final game here at Ajax, but let's see what happens in the next day. The talks are going on. We have to see if an agreement is reached in the next days. Where is that agreement gonna be? Fabrizio Romano confirms that it's West Ham that are really close to completing a deal for Mohamed Kudus, after sending a new formal bid tonight. The final details are being discussed, but West Ham feel 90% of the deal is completed. Same also on the player side. The new bid is close to a €45 million package with a sell-on clause. Despite talking to the player side, Arsenal have never made an offer, and maybe it's understandable why. The injury to Urian Timber was a game changer. Defence automatically became more of the priority. Going forwards, Arsenal do have the options, the likes of Trossard off the bench, and now a fully fit Reece Nelson. Moving on to Arsenal's massive return. Arsenal's forward line is about to get even better. Out of nowhere entered the scene Gabriel Jesus, who's back in full Arsenal training. Arsenal themselves confirmed it with a tweet, with a caption that Gabby is back. This is about to make things even more interesting. 11 goals in the league last year. Jesus was vital to Arsenal's attacking transformation. That front three of Martinelli, Saka and Jesus caused chaos every time they play together. This will have a massive impact on the left hand side. At times we've seen Gabriel Martinelli isolated. Jesus will provide him support, natural combination play. You also can't forget about Kai Havertz. The potential of a Havertz, Martinelli and Jesus triangle in that final third is very dangerous. All players that have different qualities. It's all about making Arsenal unpredictable. There's also one more aspect that's going to be very important. That is versatility. Jesus is able to play on the right hand side. Go back to the last game of the season against Wolves. As shown by Jesus' heat map, a lot of the game spent on the right hand side. Last year, 17 goals and assists in the Premier League. How many is he going to get this season? Then you have the future of Folarin Balogun. A lot of things are happening at the same time. First, you had a report from Simon Collins. Chelsea have sounded out Folarin Balogun in a bid to boost their attack before deadline day, with the player reportedly open to leaving Arsenal for Chelsea. Arsenal are aware of Chelsea's interest and won around £50 million for the striker. I'm not surprised about Chelsea's interest. Think about their owner Todd Bowley. Being an American, of course he sees the potential. Balogun being the star boy of the USA. The commercial aspect is massive. But that's where you have AS Monaco. As David Ornstein confirms, AS Monaco are close to reaching an agreement with Arsenal to sign striker Folarin Balogun. Clubs are still negotiating the final price, but the 22-year-old USA international is now on course to join AS Monaco from Arsenal in a permanent deal. The question then becomes, how much are Arsenal getting? As confirmed by Fabrizio Hawkins, agreement reached between AS Monaco and Arsenal for the transfer of Folarin Balogun. It's a €45 million deal, the potential of a sell-on clause, maybe even a buyback option. But ultimately at €45 million, Balogun will become Arsenal's record sale. There will be fans thinking that Arsenal could have got more, but that's what you have to understand. Despite interest in clubs in the Premier League, there was no official offers. Teams in Liga don't have the same level of money, but as Santi Auna confirms, Arsenal have authorised Folarin Balogun to undergo medicals with AS Monaco, with only the final fee pending. The French club want to seal the deal before the end of the week. The departure of a centre-forward means a space is opening, as Arsenal try to enter phase 5 of their project. It's all about signing a big-name centre-forward. According to reports in the UK, Arsenal are planning to sign Brighton's Evan Ferguson in 2024. This would be a massive deal with a lot of potential. Ferguson is still only 18 years of age. 10 goals for Brighton last year in all competitions, 6 inside the Premier League. As shown by his numbers, he slightly overperformed his XG, averaging a goal every 159 minutes, 1.9 shots per game and only 5 big chances missed, and a 17% goal conversion. There's a reason why Ferguson is so hyped. Physically powerful, able to run the channels. What makes him stand out is his technical ability, able to hold the ball up and combine play. Someone that can offer everything going forwards. There is still obvious concerns. Only back in April, Ferguson signed a new Brighton contract until June 2028, and as reports came, he's valued at £100 million. When you're spending this sort of money on a player, he has to be an instant level raiser. How much has he raised the level of his Arsenal team? Should Arsenal be aiming for a more experienced player, where you might have Brentford's Ivan Toney? As reported by The Athletic, when Toney returns in January, he will only have 18 months left on his contract, and other clubs will want to sign him. 27 years of age and currently serving a betting suspension, 20 goals in the Premier League last season, 12 the year prior. There's so much to like about Toney's game. 4 assists in the league last season, 12 big chances created. Toney would give Arsenal something different. According to the Times, Brentford are braced for Ivan Toney bids in January. Valuation expected around £80 million. Multiple bids are expected, and among the interesting parties are Arsenal. That price tag won't be as high. Not when Toney only has 1 year left on his contract, and the fact that he obviously wants to move. Having recently spoken on a podcast, the next club I go to if I was to move, it would have to be the right club. I've been a Liverpool fan for my whole life, but from young, I've liked Arsenal, watching Arsenal, how they play and how passionate the fans are. Arsenal are definitely going for a big name centre forward. But here's my real question, trying to find their own version of Erling Haaland. Is either Toney or Ferguson the same level to take Arsenal to the next level? Or are there other strikers on the market? Moving on to the other Arsenal news today. Starting off with the return of the Champions League. As Arsenal say, we can't wait for those Champions League nights, as Adidas launched the new Champions League Pro Ball for this year's group stage. The Champions League group stage draw is less than a week away. Arsenal are in Pot 2. In Pot 1 we could face Sevilla, Barca, Napoli, Bayern, PSG, Benfica and Feyenoord, with decent teams in Pot 3 and Pot 4. What would be your ideal group for Arsenal? Stat time of the day, and we've got to talk about Kai Havertz. Among all the Arsenal players this season, at 23.2 kilometers, Havertz has covered the most distance. The idea that Havertz is not a hard worker needs to be put to one side. I think at times fans get confused by his calm persona. They believe he's a bit like Mesut Ozil. To start for Mikel Arteta, you need to have the work rate. The next step has to be goal contributions. We also need to talk about the Arsenal defence. So far in the league this year, second in terms of goals conceded, third in terms of shots faced, second in terms of possession and third in terms of passing accuracy. What's even more impressive is our record away from home. After a clean sheet against Crystal Palace, Arsenal have become the third team in Premier League history to keep 200 away clean sheets. Behind Man United's 205 and Chelsea's 204, they have now kept 28 shutouts in 68 league away matches under Mikel Arteta. 41% of his games. It shows that Mikel Arteta has built a defence that thrives in the toughest environments. The next step needs to be improving at home, this weekend being the prime opportunity in a game against Fulham at the Emirates Stadium. As things stands, Fulham are 13th, having won their opening game against Everton but lost 3-0 against Brentford. They only have one player missing, and that being Tim Ream, who's out via suspension. For Arsenal, no Yuri Timber and no Takehiro Tomiyasu, but there may be the return of Gabriel Jesus. Here's how I think Arsenal line up. Ramsdale and goal on a back four of Thomas Partey, Ben White, Saliba and Kivior. A midfield three of Rice, Odegaard and Havertz. And a front three of Martinelli, Nketiah and Saka. Even though Zinchenko is available, to have Partey and Rice on the same team, then have the extra attack in the final third, we can't be inverting on both sides. Fulham are a team that like to defend deep, and that's why I think Arteta will stay with Havertz in midfield. But of course there are many possibilities. But against Fulham at home in the last 31 meetings, Arsenal have had 25 wins, 6 draws and 0 defeats. What are your guys' thoughts going into this game? And how do you think Arsenal need to line up? But that is the video over there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the latest episode of the Transfers FC, a massive game on Saturday. Of course it is must win, a chance to make it 3 wins out of 3, so Arsenal, it's over to you and I'll see you next time. Take care and in a bit.